A single man, a 21-foot boat, 438 days, and the world's largest ocean, the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is the largest of the 5 oceans in the world. It covers an area of 165 million square kilometers. If you calculate this number, it is larger than the total dry part of the world, which is 140 million square kilometers. If a person gets lost in this ocean, his chance of finding him is less than 0.1%. And this miracle happened 11 years ago, on January 30th, 2014. This is the amazing story of a fisherman in Mexico, Jos Salvador Alvarenga.
Jos spent 14 months in this dangerous ocean, without food and without any help, and made such a world record that no one would ever want to break. The question is, how did this happen, and why did he go to the ocean? This is the real story of 2012, where a 36-year-old Jos Salvador Alvarenga lived in a small Mexican village, Costa Azul. He was an experienced fisherman. On November 17, according to his routine, Jos goes to catch fish in the ocean. It was a 30-hour shift, because of which he took a small 23-foot boat and did not keep much luggage, just food for 2 days. His fishing partner could not come with him on this trip, so he took a 23-year-old inexperienced boy, Ezequiel Cordova, with him. There was only one engine, one refrigerator-sized icebox on this small boat, in which he could keep the fish, and this was enough for a 30-hour shift.
As soon as he went 120 kilometers from the coast, he laid a big net in the water and started hunting. According to reports, he caught 500 kilograms of fresh fish, which was a lot. Celebrating this joy, he did not know that everything was going to change in the next few hours. Neither would he have these fish left, nor would he be able to go back. Immediately during the hunt, a sea storm came. He immediately left his net and came back. But the storm was so severe that a large part of the boat, the icebox, and the engine were damaged to a large extent. He unloaded all the weight from the boat and ran towards the coast. After 6 hours of hard work, he was only 20 to 30 kilometers from the coast. But then, the last working engine on his boat suddenly failed. Now he had no engine, no rope, and no way to control where the boat was going. The powerful winds slowly pushed him farther and farther away from the shore. At that moment, all control was gone. His only option was to call his boss for help using the two-way radio. But just when he needed it most, the radio battery died. Now he was completely alone, drifting across the open Pacific. After receiving Jos's last message, his boss immediately organized a search operation. But after 3 days, there was still no sign of him. Eventually, everyone assumed he had died. The search was officially called off. By then, 5 days had already passed, and the ocean currents had carried him nearly 500 kilometers from where he had started. There was nothing around him except endless water. His tiny 24-foot boat was almost impossible to spot in such a massive ocean. He had no way to make a fire, no way to contact anyone, and no way to move the boat. The small amount of food he had brought was completely gone. At this point, his chances of survival were estimated to be less than 1%. To stay alive, he began catching and eating birds that landed on his boat. He also caught fish with his bare hands whenever he could. Even though he was surrounded by water, none of it was safe to drink. Seawater is full of salt, and drinking it would only make dehydration worse. Instead, he collected rainwater whenever it rained. During long dry periods, he survived by drinking the blood of fish and sea turtles. And when there was nothing left to catch, he was forced to drink his own urine just to stay alive. The days slowly turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. It's almost impossible to imagine the mental suffering he was enduring. After 3 months in these brutal conditions, 23-year-old Ezequiel could no longer take it. He eventually stopped eating and died from starvation. Before he passed away, he made Jos one final request. "Please don't eat my body after I die." Jos promised him that he never would. After Ezequiel's death, his body remained on the boat for 5 days. But as the situation became unbearable, Jos finally kept his promise by gently pushing his friend's body into the sea. Now,
he was truly alone. More than once, he thought about ending his own life, but his Christian faith stopped him every time. Deep down, he still believed that someone would find him.
Now there was no one left to talk to, no one to help him. He had drifted into one of the quietest and most isolated parts of the Pacific Ocean, where very few cargo ships ever passed. One day, a large cargo ship appeared in the distance. Joss desperately tried to get its attention, but spotting a tiny fishing boat in the middle of the world's largest ocean was nearly impossible. The ship sailed away without ever seeing him. 6 months had now passed. By this point, Joss had fallen into deep depression. Then, 11 months passed.
By now, he had drifted more than 8,000 kilometers across the Pacific. He had almost nothing left. His strength was fading, he had no protection from the relentless sun, and his clothes had nearly fallen apart. But after all that time, fate finally gave him a chance. On January 30th, 2014, exactly 14 months after he first became stranded, Joss noticed coconuts floating in the water. That could only mean one thing. There had to be land nearby. Moments later, he saw it. An island. His small boat drifted straight toward the shore. He stumbled onto the beach and made his way to a nearby house where he found a local resident. For the first time in 438 days, after 14 months completely alone, Joss was finally speaking to another human being. He told them everything that had happened. The island was Ebon Atoll, one of the remote islands of the Marshall Islands. Against impossible odds, Joss had somehow drifted across the Pacific and reached what was essentially a tiny dot in the middle of the ocean. Had he missed it, the next major landmass was nearly 5,000 kilometers away in the Philippines. He was rescued from the island and finally returned home. But his suffering wasn't over yet. After spending 11 days in the hospital, doctors diagnosed him with anemia, a severe fear of water, and chronic insomnia. Over the following months, Joss gave several interviews. One of them was with journalist Jonathan Franklin, who later wrote the best-selling book 438 Days, an extraordinary true story of survival at sea. After the book was published, Ezekiel's family filed a $1 million lawsuit against Joss. They accused him of surviving by eating Ezekiel's body. Joss has always denied those claims. He says he kept the promise he made to his friend and respectfully committed Ezekiel's body to the sea.